More than 6 million workers have already received a bonus thanks to these tax cuts.
6 million workers represents just 4% of the American workforce. In other words, 96% of America's 155 million workers have gotten nothing from the Trump tax cuts for the rich, even though Trump promised them a $4,000 raise from his corporate tax cuts.
My Council of Economic Advisors estimates that this change would likely give the typical American household around a $4,000 pay raise.
Most of the worker payouts have been one-time bonuses, not permanent raises. And believe me, few have been anywhere close to $4,000.
At the heart of our plan is tremendous relief for working families and small businesses.
Mr. President, at the heart of your plan are huge tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations. Once the law is fully phased in, the richest 1% will get 83% of the tax cuts. The corporate tax rate is slashed by 40%, and the average cut for a member of the richest 1% is over $50,000 this year. Most working families, on the other hand, will only get about $1 a day in tax breaks.
Companies are pouring money back into our country, bringing it back from overseas, investing it here.
Money is pouring back, but most of it is flowing just where you'd expect, into the pockets of CEOs and their wealthy shareholders. Since the Trump GOP tax law was enacted, corporations have announced they will spend $500 billion buying back their own stock. They do that to jack up the stock's price, and that mostly benefits CEOs and wealthy shareholders who own those stocks, not working families.
As you know, we're also bringing back trillions of dollars from offshore that we couldn't bring back. Companies were unable to do it from a tax standpoint, the amount they had to pay.
Under the old tax law, companies were perfectly able to bring back their offshore profits. In fact, many did every year. Others preferred to stash those profits in tax havens, waiting for an undeserved tax holiday. And that's just what President Trump and his allies gave them, handing multinational corporations a $400 billion tax break on their profits that are stashed offshore, mostly in tax havens.
The American farmer virtually will not have to pay any more estate tax on their farms.
President Trump's claim that family farms and small businesses were being lost to the estate tax is a fraud. Only about 80 of the biggest farms and privately held businesses used to pay estate taxes. None of them were small family farmers or small businesses. Now, after Trump seriously weakened the estate tax, family dynasties will be able to pile up even bigger fortunes.
We delivered a historic victory for American small businesses by allowing you to deduct 20% of your business income. People were shocked.
What would really shock them is how much this tax deduction benefits wealthy business owners, not mom and pop Main Street stores. More than 80% of this business tax deduction goes to the wealthiest 5% of business owners.
Apple just announced recently they're going to spend $350 billion on an incredible campus and new facilities all over the country.
No, Mr. President, tremendous PR spin by you and Apple. Nowhere in Apple's announcement does the company claim its spending plan was prompted by the tax scam for the rich. The $350 billion figure was not the cost of new facilities. It includes such everyday expenses as Apple's existing workers' salaries, their domestic supply purchases, and the investment Apple had already planned before the company got a huge and unnecessary tax cut.
Our historic tax cuts also ended one of the most unfair taxes imaginable. Obamacare's individual mandate. That was a beauty. It's over. It's gone. It's done.
What will be over, done, and gone is health insurance for 13 million vulnerable Americans. They will lose coverage because Trump and the GOP weakened this key part of the Affordable Care Act. Millions more will pay 10% higher health insurance premiums on average every single year. That's $2,000 more. What a deal for working families. Trump cut taxes, mostly for the rich and Wall Street, and for drug and insurance companies. Then he cut health care for working families to pay for those tax cuts for the rich and corporations that are ripping off their customers. Gee, thanks for giving working families relief, Mr. President.